Hey, baby boomers, get over the denial. You know what I'm talking about, because I'm one. Tom Jensen for VUpoint TV. We baby boomers are in denial. Denial over age, we're denying retirement. In fact, we don't want to retire, we can't retire. We don't want to think about long-term planning, and we don't want to think about death and dying. There are 76 million of us. Think about that, 76 million of us, and I have an idea for death and dying. But wait, don't change that dial. This is not a commercial, but a final solution that I think we're all going to have to buy into. I can't tell if the health industry has an idea or not on this one, because with actuary tables they should, but since 1946, 4 million of us were born each year, ending around 1964, give or take. And with healthcare advances and the fact that we can prolong life, and think about that for a moment. FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, when he created Social Security, we had a certain lifespan, and now we're living 14 years longer. Think about that. 25% of the workforce in the year 2020 will be 55 years of age or older. And how is that going to impact younger people? And again, we're putting off retirement because we need money. We need money to retire because we've ignored that. And think about that. I partied in the 60s. I partied in the 70s. I partied in the 80s. It was about the 90s that I started realizing that I better start thinking about some of this stuff. And I'm guessing some of you haven't started yet either. We need money for long-term health insurance. Except that's a problem too. It was my parents dying that made me realize my mortality. My folks spent somewhere between $20,000 and $30,000 in premiums for nothing. And you know why that is? Because when it comes to long-term health care, you have to be in a facility of some sort. It might be a nursing home, whatever, for at least 90 days before that can kick in. And when it does kick in, it's only going to pay for about 60% of it, so you still may be out $3,000 a month. Add that up. Well, Dad got sick, and Dad's doc was uncomfortable about talking about end of life. Dad didn't want to talk about it either, but I was there saying, let's talk about this. Dad was 83 years old. He started suffering nosebleeds. He kind of figured out what it was. He self-diagnosed himself with leukemia, and sure enough, that's what he had. The doctor wanted to do invasive stuff. Dad said no. Doctor wanted to do tests. Dad said no. He didn't want chemo. He didn't want radiation. He wanted to live out his life keeping his food down. Well, about a year later, Dad became incoherent. Of course, it was a Saturday. So I made a call to his doctor at 1:30. The answering service got back to me at 5:30. That's like 4 hours difference, right? I don't know how that works. But in the meantime, Mom's watching this, so I had to call 911. We zip him to the ER, and all of a sudden, a young, earnest doctor's yelling at my dad, your potassium level's low or high. I can't remember, but it was wrong. And the thing is, they wanted to fix that. And they said, if we don't fix your potassium, your heart will stop. Well, you could have sold Dad a timeshare in Acapulco that day. He said, yeah, go for it. So we were off to the races. Off to the races. Dad lasted 3 weeks, and he had great insurance. He had Congress's insurance. He was a retired federal employee. He had Dick Cheney insurance. They could smell his insurance. So after $90,000 later, Dad passed away. His share was only $300. And the same thing was true with my mom. She had emphysema and other old age elements. I moved in with her for the last couple of months, helping her get to the bathroom, bathing her. Luckily, I had the schedule I could do that. But Mom got tired. She goes, I don't want to do this anymore. We took her to her regular doctor. Her regular doctor said, oh, you're too healthy for this. So I took her to her emphysema doctor, and he goes, I'll write the script for hospice. Mom went in on September 7th. She died 4 days later. Now, there's 78 million of us. 76, 78, 80 million, it's a bunch. There aren't enough hospice beds for the baby boomers. Won't be enough hospice beds. In fact, they say, you've heard of trickle-down economics? Well, think of the bunk beds that might be in hospice. That'd be trickle-down hospice, and you don't want that. We've legalized medical marijuana. I think we're going to legalize more drugs. The next thing we'll legalize will be assisted suicide facilities. There was a very famous British musician and his wife. She had terminal cancer. He was very much in love with her. They went to Switzerland. There was a spa there. They both went in on a Friday. They both came out on a Monday. Now, Oregon, Washington State, and Montana have assisted suicide. And I believe we'll be joining the list of countries that legalized it a long time ago. Now, I wanted to take care of my parents. I was honored to take care of my parents. But after what I've been through, I don't want anybody to have to take care of me. So take the time to look up the quote, Jack Kevorkian Pension Plan. I wrote that back in the 90s on my radio show. As Colorado Governor Dick Glam once said, we have a duty to die. But I was armed with my dad's power of attorney and living will, and sometimes that's not enough. Baby boomers control 80% of personal finances in this country. Our assets, about 80%. We buy 77% of prescription drugs. You think we'd have the clout to take care of this? So you can't be in denial or look the other way anymore. With the millions of us that can't be taken care of, I think we need to talk about the Jack Kevorkian Pension Plan. My living will says if I have a hangnail, do not resuscitate. So you all have a happy day, keep your chin up, and be the first on your block to send a retirement message. Tom Jensen for VUpoint TV.